Welcome back, guys. Steve here, V-Twin Racing Channel. We're going to finish up our adventure on this Mikuni carburetor today. So, just a quick recap. This is a 48 HSR that I purchased from another racer that used to use it with on a 1250 engine with oxygenated, specifically C45 fuel. So it's all set up. This was probably as good as it can get for a Mikuni carburetor on that particular type of engine. Has ProBack, and I did determine that I had to run my big S&S intake manifold in order to run this carburetor in its current configuration. So I need to pull the bowl screws and check it out, make sure it's clean. I'm sure it is. The guy I bought it from is pretty meticulous, but you know what to say, trust but verify. So I need to have a look at that. Choke, everything seems to be in order on it. It's all there. But this is a bracket, a support bracket that I had on the silver bike. If you guys remember this, to help support the weight of that big Super D. I don't know that I need it with this Mikuni, but I might go ahead and put it on there. This was the engine mount, top engine mount that I was using on the silver bike. This is a modified solid mount engine mount. Probably not as strong as you would actually want it to be, but I think it'll be fine. On the silver bike, I did not use these two holes. I simply bolted this to the engine and was using this bolt to hang that support bracket on. So we're going to put this on the bike, put this on this bike, and see how all that stuff's going to line up. So stick around. All right, so standard engine mount, and again, all I did was just basically cut out the choke mount, so it's not too much more weak than it was. So this is what came off the bike. This has a choke mount, and I don't remember what all this shit was for, but this one was a trimmed down version, so you don't have any issues with your petcock and your fuel line. So let's try to put this on here. Yep, looks like she'll fit. Okay, so we'll start a bolt here. Just get them all started. I really don't want to get this stuff too much in the way, and I still haven't tightened the intake up. I just want to check alignment before I go tightening those four intake bolts down too much. We'll get them ran in as far as we can with our fingers. Actually going to do a couple of pretty neat weight savings projects on this bike this winter, so hopefully you guys enjoy. One of which is going to be this battery box. If you guys, I don't think you guys can see it from the angle. Anyway, for those that know, on a rubber mount bike, there was no tab on the frame right here to mount this, so it simply was mounted here, and it was just a carburetor support. So this one is modified to be a carburetor support, and I'm going to try to utilize that. Mind your ears real quick. Okay, there's that. This ain't coming back off. I need to go ahead and tighten it now, because I know me, I'll forget. And I go preaching to everybody else about checking their bolts. Make sure this stuff's snug. Okay, so there's that. To give you guys a better look, there it is. Basically, this bolt hole right here, I drilled in it to mount that carburetor support. So, and again, the only difference between the two is I basically cut this choke mount off of it, and I did clearance the inside of it out a little bit right here, because you can see this one I had to go crazy with a big old hole to make the fuel line go through there, but we are changing petcocks on this too. So there's that. Okay, yeah, you can really see it on the back side where I had to cut that out and modify it to get that fuel line to go through there, just because of where the petcock was. But with this, we don't have any of that business going on. So there's that. There's our 341 intake manifold. You can see she wiggles a little bit because I don't have the bolts cranked down yet. I wanted to check and see if this was even necessary. Yeah, she'll line up somewhat. She'll line up. I don't know, what you guys think? Think I need that carburetor support on there? I'm betting I don't, but I don't know. It was on there with the Super D, because that thing's about, you know, yay long with the, so it was hanging way out off the bike. The Makuni, I don't know. Not sure if I need that or not. I don't know. I just have to manipulate this manifold just a little bit to get them holes lined up. It ain't no big deal. That's actually in a pretty good place right where it's at. All right, well, I got it on there. I did not put the support on top. I didn't see the need for it. It's really sturdy right there. It ain't going anywhere. And as you can see, throttle's hooked up. I'm probably gonna run, I'm gonna run a brand new fuel line. The one I had on there, I don't know, it wasn't what I would call ideal. So I want to run something a little bit bigger, free flowing, because I am going to change the petcock. So let's go ahead and throw the let's go ahead and get the Novi on there. I think 3/16. 3/16. Make sure these are all a little loosey, so the clamp will work. There we go. That one's already loose. Okay. There it is. Make sure you get that thing good and snug. Because if I were to lose this thing, I would flat cry. That's some $1 million parts right there. Much as I strongly urge this type of behavior, you know, trying to race an old Sportster, some of these parts, unfortunately, are no longer available, discontinued, whatever you want to call it. I don't like that. That ain't straight. I'm gonna have to fix that. Discontinued equipment here that doesn't. Let's see if I can get this right. Maybe not. There we go. There it is. Now we're straight. Okay. Anyway, I guess the future The future is in EFI. The downside to EFI Sportsters is they're, oh, I don't know, about 100 pounds heavier than this thing. So, unless you can figure out a way to retrofit some fuel injection to a, and I'm sure there's a way to do it if you're smart, you know what you're doing with all that sensors and all that other stuff. The biggest thing that I was trying to figure out, because honestly I considered it, putting a turbo and EFI on one of these older ones, but the way the engine picks up signal and all that stuff, but there it is, man. There it is. Choke's out of the way of the pipe. You got room to run a hose through there. Tell you what, let's take a look. There you go. Almost looks like I know what I'm doing. Almost. Hopefully this works out. Hopefully this works out real good. Let's take a look at the petcock deal. Okay, hopefully that wasn't too boring. It was slightly informative, or at the very least entertaining a little, just a little bit. Carburetor's on. So you saw the petcock. I don't know until I crank it up about the idle and all that other mess, but that's it on the fuel system. That's all we're gonna do there. I gotta buy me a piece of bigger diameter ID fuel line. I wanna buy some of that. I don't want this old dump truck hydraulic hose looking shit on there. I wanna get something decent. I gotta look around a little bit and see what I want. I'll find something. I used to have where that stuff went to, I don't know. I used to have some kind of nice gray stuff. It was, I don't remember what they called it. Started with a V. It doesn't seem like I got any more of it in the toolbox there, but anyway, I think I mentioned in the last video that the rear sprocket's on the way, 520 pitch, 520 chain, rear sprocket. So I think in our next video, we will start taking the stuff apart to get the front sprocket off of it. So, as always, guys, thanks for watching. Appreciate your support. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing. Got any questions, comments, ideas, drop them in the comments. Love to hear from y'all. Have a good one.